Now, your Alaska Link weather for Anchorage and South Central.
Well, as we moved into this week, we've been finding more spots of this active weather pattern. We've had some lows, but overall staying a bit on the gloomier side with these intermittent chances of rain to snow showers. And as we head into our Friday, we will stay with a chance of those rain to snow showers, noting that overnight low temperatures still drop into the 30s. We see some spots that just drop below it, others hold just slightly above it. Due to lack of daylight, we will have some spots, even if that temperature is right around about 34, 35 degrees, may still see a little bit of some snow, but we're going to constantly still have this on and off potential of rain to snow showers as we head into our Friday, noting that we still are dealing with similar temperatures even that we've had through the last few previous days. Now, we will note that the current wave that's in play, that's going to make a quick departure, allowing for us to see some relief on Saturday. We will get into some good blocks of some quiet skies, might even get into a break of some sunshine, but there is a stronger low on its way, and it is expected to lead into some widespread precipitation, lifting that in for Sunday, lasting through about Tuesday, and then we may get into some dry conditions following that system. But at least for our Friday, staying with more nuisance weather, we will note that we'll find some bands that may set up to allow for some heavier accumulation. Some spots will even stay completely dry. Again, morning hours will fall a little more wintry, while afternoon hours do bring that potential for some rain showers as highs are still nearing the 40s. Now, when we look at our Friday forecast, we can overall see that the lift of moisture is in store, and we can see times here are some of those bands that set up at points. We even note that at times over the bowl in the valley that is even setting up. We get into some widespread heavy accumulation even for the Prince William Sound. So we'll note that still our Friday, and then lingering into Saturday morning, we'll still have a pretty good chance to find those spots of precipitation. It does look to be limited on the snowfall front. We definitely see most of that stay in higher elevations, as lower elevations this time of the year trend a bit warmer, but we have some pretty decent numbers, at least 1/4 of an inch points all the way into the valley to even 1/2 inch potential, and then our Prince William Sound with the greatest accumulation with anywhere from 3/4 of an inch to 2 inches possible. So again, expect really similar conditions we've had the last few days. Temperature wise, we're around upper 30s, lower 40s, intermittent chances of precipitation. Saturday, similar temperatures into the 40s as well, but we could see some drier pockets. Again, can't rule out some filtered sunshine. When that sunshine comes about, we'll see just around about 15 hours here between our Friday and Saturday. Now, as we look at that Sunday forecast, this is where we're into that strong area of low, where we'll have likely widespread precipitation through about Tuesday. We'll also note that some of our Gulf communities, we will monitor some times of some stronger winds.
Now, your Alaska Link weather for Fairbanks and the interior.
While as we continue into our mid-April forecast, it is remaining a bit more unsettled than where we've been. But when it comes down to impacts, it is remaining on the more minimal side, especially here in our local valley and just outside of some of our mountain ranges. We're dealing with more scattered precipitation as well as leading into more of this rain-snow mix. So it's making it a bit more difficult to show even the evidence of these waves of energy as the daytime can warm up and even help to dry surfaces out, but then we can pull into some rain showers, but also still find some spots where some morning snow showers are ongoing. Now, for the range, this is where it is staying a little snowier. There's even some messaging here of some more difficult travel, where we will see some communities, even in those highest of elevations, get upwards of a foot of snowfall. Now, we're going to stay unsettled into early next week with multiple waves as we're monitoring a strong low to our south. So we're going to continue on really this continued conversation. May find some points where we get into some better drive of accumulation. Now, in the Fairbanks area, we're expecting a cool Friday. Morning low 24 degrees and then only a high of 35. Again, that average high is working its way quickly here through those 40s. Now, we'll note with the cooler environment, it could lead to us seeing a little bit better potential here in the coming days to deal with more of that snowfall. Now, afternoon hours, especially with the sun angle, that can help to warm up even those upper the upper atmosphere down towards the surface and allow for us to see that changeover. So still we'll talk about some mixing spots, but we'll keep an eye on a little better push of where we're seeing some snowfall potential. But as we roll through the forecast again, overall not seeing organized system move through our region. A lot of the active weather is from the south that leads to that moisture field extending across the interior. We will keep an eye on Saturday into Sunday towards our west. The western interior is going to get in on some action from that next low, and that will allow for some uptick in accumulation where we can note there a little better consistency of a range of at least that 1 to 3 inches. But as we look locally, this is where we have that divide of our higher elevations of the range working into those higher accumulations. But once you get into those valleys, we downslope out of that big accumulation, limiting to less than an inch. But we'll still note that between Fairbanks and then once we get into the White Mountains, there can be that point to get into accumulation. But we'll note that again, here's some of those communities falling underneath some winter headlines that for the Richardson Highway of some concerns for some difficult travel due to snow on wet pavement, creating some slippery conditions with refreezing overnight. We are just around about 15 and a half hours of daylight for a Friday. Again, a cool Friday expected. Generally, much of our 7-day is remaining on the cooler side, especially noting that as the active weather departs next week, we will get in on a colder tap. But for now, we'll continue to monitor areas of this precipitation through at least Tuesday.